So I finally managed to complete the entire campaign of Halo Campaign Evolved a few days ago, and I already made a video a few days ago about my first impressions of the game after finishing like the first few 5 missions. And now I basically completed the entire main campaign, and I completed the Johnson campaign as well, so the 3 bonus missions that are included with this campaign game. And yeah, today I want to talk about my experiences with the game. How do I feel about it? Do I think it's a good one? Is it worth the $60? What is good, what is bad? And if I would like to see a Halo 2 and Halo 3 remake in the future as well, because I've kind of have some thoughts about it as well. But yeah, today I want to kind of give my few points. I've written down a few notes here, and in general, the gameplay itself was really fun. It actually feels really nice to play, even though it plays like an older Halo game, which is like how it should be, of course. But we are now in 2026, and it doesn't feel dated or sluggish in my opinion. It feels nice, and the entire game feels like basically like the original Halo, but slightly a bit modernized. Obviously, one of the main new additions in the game as well is Sprint, and it wasn't there before in the original trilogy, and it's here now. In my gameplays I basically never really used Sprint because I wanted to play the levels like they were originally intended back in 2001. So there were very few instances where I actually used it. To me, it somewhat ruins the experience if you try to sprint through the entire level, because the campaign is already short enough, and if you just try to sprint through every single level and every single encounter, the game is going to feel a hell of a lot shorter. I completed basically the entire campaign in 6 hours. And you pay $60 for the game as well, so I think there are a lot of people that don't find that to be worth your money, because you basically pay like $10 an hour for that game. But obviously, you know, I will try, if you are going to play it in the future, I will try to suggest, you know, don't sprint, turn it off if you can, or if you can't turn it off, just don't use it. It's very easy to play the game without sprint, so go ahead and do that. That's my opinion. After my first few 5 missions, I thought, you know, it was very similar to the original. Basically nothing really has changed apart from the graphics, of course, and the graphics overall in the entire game were very good in my opinion. It just looks like the best Halo game ever made, which is like logical, of course, because this is the latest Halo game and we are in 2026 now, but still, I still think this is one of the better looking Halo games, or better looking games in general, of the entire generation. Especially the ones that I played, but I felt like, you know, the last few missions, the last 5 missions were really starting to pick up, and I think the last 5 missions are actually way better than compared to the first 5, and they actually changed quite a lot in the final 5, especially like in the mission The Library as well, and 343 Guilty Spark hasn't changed that much. There are some rooms that are different compared to the original, but they basically made the entire levels look visually different. They look a lot more like, how do you call it, when we basically go down in the level, it looks a lot more like a flood outbreak instead of the standard usual hallways that were there in 2001. So that's good, and I think a lot of other levels in the game as well have quite a few changes, especially with the layouts of the rooms and stuff, because they're originally back in 2001. One of the main critical points people had was the repeated rooms, especially in this game, especially in Halo 1, because they basically copy-pasted a lot of rooms in these levels to make up for the lack of memory or the lack of hardware that they had at the time. So it's nice to see they actually change up some bits, and I personally did enjoy the changes. I'm personally not some type of guy that usually complains about every single change in a game. I feel like the original Halo 1 was a product of its time, and I think it's good that they actually made some changes to these levels, because it now feels like less repetitive compared to before, and I personally really enjoyed it. So yeah, the levels overall were very good. Obviously the second half was better compared to the first. The frame drops was a topic that I talked about in my first video as well, and that basically continued all the way through the game. I don't know if it's fixed yet in a patch that came out a few days ago, but yeah, the frame drops are like a very big issue in my opinion. I hope that can be fixed in the future. I definitely want to replay the entire campaign and game without the frame drops. But yeah, it's still very much present in all the levels, and in the Johnson campaign as well, you get like a ton of frame drop, especially when you are in combat with a lot of enemies. It's constant, you know, and it's quite annoying in my opinion. The cutscenes, in my opinion, of the entire game were a mixed bag. Some of them were actually an improvement compared to the original, and they look very good and look very well animated. And there are some cutscenes that look absolutely terrible, especially in the Johnson campaign, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a very mixed bag. I don't want to say it's really bad, but I don't want to say it's really good. It's just a very mixed bag. Of course, I've seen a lot of hate online on the cutscenes that they were atrocious. But in my opinion, that's not really the case. I think there are still a lot of cutscenes that are very good. So it's a kind of a mixed bag. I kind of give them a 6 or a 7 or an 8. But it's nothing compared to the original Blur cutscenes that they used in the Halo 2 Anniversary. So yeah, Halo definitely had better cutscenes in the past, especially Halo 2. So it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. Obviously the vehicle gameplay I already talked about in my first video. It's still very fun, and it still continues to do so in all of the other levels that I played. I think the weapons sandbox was great as well. All of the new additions, like the needle rifle and the energy sword and the fuel what you get to play with in the later missions as well. And I just overall enjoyed all of the additions that they made. Obviously these were all guns that were present before in other Halo games, so it really isn't like new content in my opinion, but it's new to Halo 1, you know, and I enjoyed it. The bonus missions in itself, there were 3 in total. Overall they were decent. I don't think they were great, but they also weren't bad. I think they used quite a bit of repeated rooms. Now not really repeated rooms, but repeated visual areas, you know. They look very similar to other missions, because it's basically a Covenant ship, the inside of a Covenant ship with all the purple hallways and stuff. And there were some areas that look distinctively different, but most of them looked kind of similar, so that was not ideal. But I still think they were alright, but to me they also felt like a bit short. I hope they would kind of be longer. And I kind of would have hoped that they had more bonus missions, because I felt like the 3 missions in total, it went by very quick, basically like in half an hour per mission. And I think they could have used like 2 or 3 more missions to flesh out, you know, the story and the characters, and it felt like it was over very quick. So I hope if they ever do a Halo 2 remake or a Halo 3 remake, that they decide to add like more prequel or bonus missions, however you want to call it. So I think it's alright. They weren't great. I'm gonna give them a 7 or so. It's not, yeah, it's not the greatest mission. These are not the greatest missions of all time, but they're fine, you know. Yeah, graphics I already said, it's outstanding. Would I still want a Halo 2 and Halo 3 remake? I would personally say so, yes. But if they manage to do a Halo 2 remake, I would rather them use the Halo 2 Anniversary cutscenes that Blur created, because I do think those look better and they basically can't be improved in that game. I think the only reason why they should add new cutscenes is when they decide to add another bonus mission set. But sure, I want to see a Halo 2 and Halo 3 remake. I think Halo 3 has the advantage of never been remade, so I think those would be the priority for the studios. But I'm also like of the opinion, you know, they shouldn't really remake games anymore. I think they should just focus on creating new games, creating new campaigns, or creating a new multiplayer. Because, you know, it's fun to play the campaign again, but we already played these campaigns like so many times, like 10 or 20 or 30 times even, and I know this game is probably meant for all of the new people on PlayStation, but it still feels like, you know, I would rather them just focus on Halo 7 or a multiplayer game, because we want new content, you know. And if I agree with the price tag of $60, it's $60 in my country. I think it's a little bit expensive, I feel like, because I completed the game basically 6 hours. I do have to say I didn't explore every single part of the map, because I wanted to complete it as quickly as possible. But I still feel like it's a very expensive game for the amount of content you get. I know this was back in 2001, this was the standard of video games, you know, 60 hours for like 6 to 10 hours of gameplay. But you know, we are in 2026 now, and there's no multiplayer to be added, and it was back in 2001. So for all the people that are still kind of in doubt if they should buy this game or not, I would say, you know, wait a few months, wait for a sale, because I personally think the $60 isn't really worth it, even though I'm a massive Halo fan, and I played all the Halo games ever, basically, or I watched all of them. But I would still say it's very expensive, especially if you don't have much money to spend on many games in a year. I would say wait for a sale, or wait for if someone sells it second hand or something like that, because right now I think just you can spend that 60 bucks a lot better in my opinion, because there are just some games that you also spend 60 bucks or maybe 80 bucks and you can spend hundreds of hours in those games, and I feel like this is not really the type of game that you can spend so many hours in. I think you will probably finish this one like 1 or 2 times in total. You'll play with the skulls and all of the campaign remix that's in there as well. But apart from that, I don't think people will be playing these games, or this game in particular, that long. So yeah, I personally don't really regret buying it, because I love Halo, I love the new graphics, I love Halo being on PlayStation for once, and I love that it has introduced a lot of people to Halo with this change. But yeah, 60 bucks is probably way too expensive. Don't try to buy it right now, but personally, final verdict, I still enjoyed the game. I would rate it probably like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I don't hate it as much as many people online say it, how bad it is. I still quite enjoyed my time with it. It's just a bit short. But yeah, overall I'm happy with the product, and I hope Halo Studios has managed to create a Halo 7 in the future and a multiplayer game, and that is also coming out on PlayStation as well, because I personally play on PlayStation and I would rather them release it on platforms, so as many people as possible can experience this game. So yeah, that was my overall opinion on Halo Campaign Evolved. I'll probably make a few more videos in the future on this game. I want to try and play with the skulls and stuff, and I want to try to finish the game on Legendary, because I didn't do this time. But you know, so far this is my review of the game, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I am very curious to know what you guys think of this game, and if you enjoyed it, or did you hate it, or did you think it was worth the 60 pounds of the 60 bucks or not. I'm just very curious about your opinions, guys, and let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to respond to every single one of them. And I want to thank you for watching today's one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.